So now we're on our third video looking at how to properly load the lower leg in some of these deep flexors. Again, if you're experiencing some kind of post-hip tendonitis, some kind of flexor tendonitis, or shin splints, again, a commonly used catch-all phrase to really talk about any lower leg injury. But if you didn't have a chance to check out video one or video two, make sure you look back at the intro video, which we looked at how to self-assess great toe extension, ankle dorsiflexion, and calf endurance. Video two, we looked at from a range of motion standpoint, do I have enough range of motion at the great toe and the ankle? Again, this is the next stepping stone from there. In addition to working on any range of motion, if you were restricted, this is the next step that you want to work on. If you had no problem when it comes to range of motion, working on some of these slow eccentric and these calf or heel raise progressions is where you want to be. So very simply, a lot of the research now points to working on slow eccentric strength training, adding some resistance onto that, but really trying to promote collagen synthesis and the kind of the resynthesis of this strong, healthy tendon, okay? So in order to do that, we can't just stretch a tissue and expect it to really reform back into a healthy tendon. We have to work on actually loading that tissue. So what we can start with is a very simple calf raise. Again, anywhere from 10 to 20 repetitions, but again, using for sport, I'm not really worried about balance here. I'd rather load the tissue and slowly control through the range of motion than have to struggle along through balance. So what I'm gonna do here, just a simple calf raise, as high as you can up to the ball of the foot, and then taking your time. Again, about 5 to 8 seconds, slowly lowering back down. We're just working on loading that tissue. Again, because these flexors, again, area we're typically talking about here, this posteromedial tibial pain here, the main action for these muscles are plantar flexion and inversion. So we're going to use plantar flexion and slowly lengthen into dorsiflexion to help load that tissue. So here, plantar flexing, slowly coming back down. Because the ground's there, I'm going to get to about neutral or slightly dorsiflex. But again, just starting with about 10 to 20 repetitions of that, but really going slow through the range of motion. I don't want to fly through this. It's not a fast concentric exercise, it's a slow eccentric. So as you start to come down from the top of that motion, can we lengthen? Recommendation here is to work on these exercises every other day, and typically this could take anywhere from 3 to 12 months. So really have to be patient on progressing through this calf raise progression. Okay? From there, if we work on, say, I would say 3 to 10 reps would be a good starting point. Coming up, taking your time, and slowly lowering back down. Okay, it's okay if you start to feel like you're aggravating that tissue, as long as pain does not last for 24 hours after performing one of these exercises, you're good, okay? If pain resolves itself, it's irritated that same night, maybe the next morning, but it goes away, continue to add that kind of load within the calf. So from there, what we can go to is now a 2 to 1, slowly lowering down, coming up on 2, come down on 1. So now we're increasing the load throughout that tissue. It's single leg focused, okay? Same thing, 3 sets of 10 every other day, 8, 10 seconds lowering, or 5 to 8 seconds, again, just trying to take your time. From there, could we go to a single leg, slowly lowering back down through that single leg progression. Again, same rep scheme. From there, what I like to do is actually add a deficit. So could we work through that same exact progression now, adding more range of motion? Again, hopefully at some point, balance is good or better where we can add a little bit of resistance. But now you can see the amount of dorsiflexion I'm going into, so it's a greater stretch or lengthening through these muscles at the bottom. Get a little harder if we're going 2 to 1, but we'll see balance and control, up 2, down 1. Again, single leg with this deficit is a little trickier. So driving up, again, might be too hard to add some kind of resistance, but if I can use this wall, come up and control, or add a backpack on, that would be the next and final step. Okay, working through 3 calf raises on the floor, bilateral, 2 to 1, and single leg, and then 3 calf raises up on the plate. So you can see we went through really 6 exercises here. This is something where you could work on each individual exercise for a month. Bilateral on the floor, 1 month, 2 to 1, 1 month, single leg on the floor, 1 month. Bilateral, adding some kind of load here, hopefully at this point, okay, on the plate, 2 to 1 on the plate, single leg on the plate. So we don't want to rush through these, do them all. We're going to do one at a time and progressively load the tissue to be more resilient to the demands we're placing upon it, okay? Feel any pain, that lasts more than 24 hours, stop. You've added too much load to that muscle or that tendon. Take a step back, continue to increase the resilience or the tolerance to that load, and then work on that till you're able to jump into that next step. But anywhere from 3 to 10 repetitions, 5 to 8 seconds on the weight down, and really be patient throughout the process.